All right, guys. Good evening. This is the Uncanny Collector back with you again for another episode. Gonna change it up a little bit today. If anybody's watched my past videos, I've mentioned that I was going to also start talking about comic books. So, give a little backstory on that. Uh, I've collected comic books probably longer than I have sports cards. So and it probably dates back to probably like the mid to late '90s. And at one point, I did have a good collection, but ended up having to sell it because I ran into needing some money at the time. Because well, that's another story. I ain't getting into that. But anyways, so what I'm thinking about doing is probably every once in a while talk about the new books that are coming out or have came out and I've read and probably give like a little review on it. And then I'll probably and I will talk about comics that I probably have repurchased to get back into my collection. So so be on the lookout for that, and I'll try to do that every week, once or twice a week, depending on what's out there to read and what I get in the mail or what I'm able to purchase at my local comic shop. So so I'm just going to do a little review on some books that came out in the comic shop a couple of weeks ago. I'm just giving this a test run, see how I do on it. But spoilers for anybody who has not read these books. If you don't want to know what happens in these books, turn the video off right now. And that's for any of my books that I will show. If anybody has not read these books and wants to and doesn't want to be spoiled, don't watch the video. I'll try to leave a comment or a saying on the title screen of the video, spoilers, to warn people. So let's get on with my first books here. Now, if anybody's reads the books, comic books, and is keeping up to date with what's going on, the big story right now, I think for Marvel right now, is King in Black. Hold on a second. There we go. The King in Black storyline. I have enjoyed this story tremendously. I think Danny Gates and Stegman have done a good job on this. Now, I say about maybe 2 years ago, I got back into my comics real good, to collecting and reading again. There was a point there where I stopped for. Well, I really didn't stop. I slowed down tremendously. I was just only picking up certain books and not really getting into the storylines that were going on, because one thing about Marvel is once they get a storyline going, they're going to want to try to put it in every title they have that they can, and even in titles that you would think it has no meaning to be in the title. But anyways, that's Marvel for you. But anyways, I'm Marvel over DC. But we'll get into that later. But let's go on here. Now, this King in Black storyline, like I said, I got a late start on the main villain for this story. And I'm talking about Null, the symbiote god, I guess you would want to call him. Apparently, he's made his way to Earth and he's done taking it over and taking over the heroes. And, there's only certain ones that managed to, get away and all that. And then, of course, apparently, Eddie Brock, aka Venom, dying or whatever, So, like I said, I have enjoyed this King in Black series. This is one of their best stories I've read in a while. Now the Dylan, he's got these powers that he is yet to understand, and but I think as people who read the book can tell that he lets his powers really show in here, and I think he's going to be really more powerful than what we think. It just all depends on how they play it out and all that. And apparently, also in these King in Black story, you got the tie-ins, and they've early on they mentioned a character, Mr. E, who debuted back in the 80s, I think it was, in I think a Marvel Spotlight story, I think maybe, I can't really remember. And we never knew what he was, but apparently during this, we found out he has some type of connection to Null. So that was interesting. And then we found out also that in the Black Knight storyline during this, that the Ebony Blade has some type of connection to Null. So there's all these little mysteries finally being solved that we've been wanting to know for a while. And in this one, in number 4, another major mystery has been revealed. Well, somewhat revealed. So let's just kind of go through some pages here. Yeah, you got this one where Dylan's being confronted by Noel, and he has a voice talking to him inside his head and all that kind of stuff. And then, Noel's trying to manipulate him to get on his side, and then, Dylan says, "You killed my dad," and violent just starts hurting Noel and then freeing all the heroes and stuff, and that was pretty awesome. And this one kind of was a weird thing. I've never seen this happen, or unless I've just missed it somewhere. Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, becomes like ultimate Sorcerer Supreme. We're looking young Gandalf type looking person here. But then, all these people are finally free and under certain powers, getting all these people who's been infected cornered up or in one spot, and then Namor shows up, sends a tidal wave and freezes Celestials. Thor and Storm electrify the water, to help free the people and all that kind of stuff. And of course, through all this, Noel's being hurt. And then we find out who's got in Dylan's head, and then later in Noel's head, it was Marvel or Jean Grey, whatever you want to call her. I wasn't expecting this. I was kind of leaning towards, if people have been reading the film story, I was kind of thinking maybe it might have been Eddie talking to Dylan in some way, but I was wrong. That was pretty cool right there. And then of course you got, her looking inside his head and seeing that he basically has no past. That he was just I don't know. I'm not saying born in darkness, but just he has nothing. He has no weakness apparently until we get to a certain point where we see this. She's saying, there can't be no darkness without light. So he battled the light, but who was the light, And then he defeated the light. And then it goes on about saying this light was young and overwhelmed by darkness and stretched too thin, all that kind of stuff. And then I knew the moment right here where it said it would choose a single being in all of the universe. I knew for right there, because you can kind of see it in this sphere and the little circles around it. I knew exactly who they were fixing to talk about. And when it finally came to be that they were talking about, hold on. No. I don't want to go too far. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. That I kind of knew something was going to be with the Silver Surfer because of the Silver Surfer Black storyline. Because, something had to come back up with him in order for that story to tie into here. And then in the last issue, he shows up and he's outside the Earth while it's covered in the symbiote goo or whatever they want to call it. And he's been carrying this host ever since, And he thought he was the one to do this, but then he's saying, I am here. I see the light. It cannot break through. It cannot pass the barrier, but I can. He can. And then he breaks through, and he realizes right here. Oh, I see. You are not here for me. Go then. Go and find your warrior. And then and then the next thing we see is Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, looking at this thing, and he realized that he knows what it is. We all do. We've just been calling it by the wrong name. Hey, Captain Universe. Finally, the Enigma Force solved. And then the next thing we see is Eddie Brock with the Captain Universe sphere thing around him. And that was a shocker. So, it's saying, Eddie Brock, you have been chosen, and it just makes you think, is Eddie Brock going to become like this Captain Universe Venom type character? Or is he going to become who this real entity is? Who like Reed says, we've been calling it by the wrong name. So are we going to finally see who this real character is? And I'm really looking forward to that. I think this is going to be something spectacular, and it's just going to blow people's minds away. And it just kind of makes you think a little bit. And then of course you see the cover to number 5. Venom holding Noel's sword. So it just makes you wonder what's going to happen. Yeah, but like I said, I've enjoyed this King in Black miniseries. The main story's really good, and I've been reading some of the side stories, not all of them, but just some of them. And I've got 2 here that I'm going to share with y'all in a minute. So that is a good read for anybody who wants to get to reading any kind of books, or who has read this book. It's to me, it's fantastic. And if anybody watches this video, please leave your comments. Subscribe and hit the like button, and just leave your comments and talk to me about these things, because I would really love to hear from people on the comic world, because I really enjoy. I hate to kind of say it, but I think I enjoy comics better than the sports cards. Because the comics just give you more of a visual. Give me a minute. Visualization. I'm sorry, I can't say this word right now. Just gives you a better vision of your imagination and when you're reading. In cards, baseball cards or football cards, basketball cards, whatever, it's just a card with two sides. Very cool to look at, stats and whatever. and it's a good collectible thing. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy collecting cards myself. I do. But comics are just more entertaining. They give you an imagination just to run wild with, with these books, and it's just fantastic. I'm like, I guess, just to be honest, I'm going to be like 51% comics, 49% sports cards, whatever, because I just enjoy my books. They're because one, sports cards are getting expensive. Really, they're getting out of hand. It just it just makes it harder for people to get now, and that's ridiculous because sports cards or collecting cards are hobbies. These were meant for like kids and younger people, and as just a hobby, like just something fun to do. But now, and I get it now because of what's happened in the world, with COVID and other things. Some people are not able to work, and so they had to find another source of income, and I get that. And selling sports cards got them started, but then it just got out of hand where here at the retail stores you're paying $20 for a blaster box, and somebody's going home putting it on eBay for 4 times that amount. You go from $20 to $80, $90 for a blaster, and that's ridiculous. I get it. You're trying to find a way to make money, but I hate to say it, but you're being greedy also. If I went out and bought a $20 blaster box optics and I wanted to sell that on eBay, the way I would do it, sorry, the way I would do it is I would get it, double it, plus 10. That's what I would do. So I would buy it for $20, list it on eBay or wherever. I would add $20 on it, make it 40 to make that money back, and plus 10 as a little extra to hopefully go towards buying more. So basically flat out $50. But I don't think that's too much, really. I don't, because it just, $50 blaster, hanger box. What are hangers going for? I can't remember. Is it $9.99 or $14.99? But anyway, same thing. Double it plus 10. Mega box. What are they going for? 40? 40. Double it plus 10. 90. You see, people are spending $90 for a blaster, but if it was me, they wouldn't have to spend $90 for a mega box. You're getting more cards bang for your buck kind of situation, you know. But I'm sorry that I've got off track talking about sports cards. But anyways, here we go. Gwenom versus Carnage. This was a very interesting story. You know, it talks about, you know, the Gwen Stacy Ghost Spider being on our Earth, and then, you know, some of her spiders from her spider suit uh, detaches from her and gets under control of Null's power, I think, and ends up taking the host of MJ, Spider Gwen's, Gwen Stacy, Spider Gwen's MJ from her universe, or her, you know what I mean, multiverse, whatever, Earth. And a lot got revealed from MJ. She wasn't really too happy with Gwen right here. But this was kind of interesting how this story played out. This is number 3. This was the end of this storyline. But, you know, it goes on, you know, they're still fighting and stuff, and, you know, Spider Gwen or Ghost Spider's chasing the new Carnage, and then, you know, they're fussing and fighting, and, you know, MJ's just saying how you always abandon us, and you were never there, and I need to be the new leader and all that kind of stuff, and keeps going, and, you know, MJ Carnage is taking over people and whatever. But it was a good story and everything. I really enjoyed this one, you know. And then kind of close to the end, Gwen finally kind of gets through to MJ, and they have a battle of the band here and all that kind of. It was pretty good. And then weekends Carnage and everything, all that. Then, you know, Gwen tries to get back home but can't because something's wrong with the necklace or something. And then, you know, here she is, you know, trying to go home. And I think what this is finally looking like is they're finally making it to where Spider-Gwen is on our Earth for a while. But as you can tell right here, Carnage is still alive in her, so it's still alive in MJ. But this was a pretty good series. I really liked that one. And I think they could have done, in all honesty, I think they could have done the MJ Carnage look a little better. Because to me, it just looks like, I don't know what that is, you know? It just looks like a bunch of scribbles. I think they could have done the character of the MJ Carnage better. But in all honesty, this was still a good story. I enjoyed it. Now we got the Amazing Spider-Man, King in Black, one shot, I think. This was a good story. In this one, you know, Peter is talking about basically how all of this is his fault. Straight from the beginning, straight from the 1980s, Secret Wars number 8. Everybody knows what I'm talking about there. When he gets the symbiote costume for the first time. He's basically saying it's all his fault. You know, if he wouldn't have brought it back to Earth, none of this would have happened. You know, so he's here doubting himself and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, he sees later that, you know, somebody's in trouble, and he thinks it's one of them dragons. And then when he punches it, it's actually the character known as Reptile. And no, not the one from Mortal Kombat. It's the boy who can turn into dinosaurs. I can't remember his real name. Did it say it? Give me a second. No, I don't think it did. But anyways, so basically what it is basically a team up. You know, it's him and Reptile, and that's what they basically say right in here is like, you know, Reptile and Spidey saving the day. It's pretty good. But I think it was basically more of a story about, you know, Peter is always putting too much on himself, and that he just needs to take one thing at a time, basically. And do one thing at a time, help one person at a time, do what you can, don't do all you can. So it was pretty cool seeing the Reptile character. If I'm not mistaken, when he becomes this dinosaur, if I'm not mistaken, other than the T-Rex, I think this is the biggest dinosaurs he's ever been. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. And then, to defeat this big old Godzilla-looking thing that's attacking a boat. And people here, gaining up on Spider-Man because they're saying it's all his fault and all that. Well, it's not all his fault. You can't judge these things. You don't know what has happened. Then this old woman right here, basically, she's been dogging him the whole story, saying he's a menace and all that kind of stuff. But right here, finally takes up for him, and they all stand behind him and get behind him with his idea, and he ends up becoming this Spidey Ahab, from Moby Dick. He even says it. Let's do our Moby Dick routine. Pretty cool. He says, "From hell's heart I stab at thee." Pretty cool. Then basically what they did is he made a spear and ran an electrical conduit to it, metal, and stabs it, and they kind of figured out that one of the ways to defeat these things is electricity. So basically, they shock this thing and basically explodes and all that, and they save the day and all that kind of stuff. And it's just kind of a good team up book with him and Spidey. Him and Reptile. I think it was just one of those filler books, because Spider-Man's got his own book, and it was kind of hard to tell what he was doing during this time in his own series because they have another storyline going in his book. So I guess they were just explaining one of the things he was doing during when all this was happening. But yeah, this is a good book, and I'm just curious, about one thing. I don't know if it's a one shot or what, but they're giving Reptile his own book. I don't know if it's just for King in Black or an actual ongoing. But that'd be interesting to read. Might pick up the first one. I'm not 100% sure. He was a cool character back in. When did they debut him? Wasn't like during the Avengers Initiative storyline? During that time, I want to say, or maybe sometime after. But anyways, this is a good character. If anybody can comment and help me remember what his name is, I want to say he's any Puerto Rican or has some type of Spanish heritage in him or something. I can't remember. But anyways, but yeah, that was a good story. I'm looking forward to number 200 because this is interesting. You could kind of tell they're saying, Eddie becomes Venom, and it looks like he takes over the hive, and he gains wings. That's weird. So, you know, that's going to be a good story. That happened this month sometime, in April 2021. Or is that Eddie? Is this a new host? You know, this could be a good twist, because like we just saw in the sorry, like we just saw in this one, he's got the Captain Universe entity around him, but here he does it. What if the twist is this is actually Dylan, and Eddie is the new Captain Universe, or whatever this entity is? That'd be a good twist. Tell me what y'all think. But that's gonna be my first go at discussing comic books with y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know what y'all think. Leave comments, please. And again, please, if you don't mind, subscribe to my channel. Like, dislike, whatever. But you know, it's all good, whatever y'all do. So until next time, this is the Uncanny Collector. Out.